only way we can take poison out of the discourse, folks, is to draw it out. Sunshine is the best medicine after all. We got to draw out the poison, which means a lot of pushback, right? Pushing the idea of social media limits or a full-on social media ban is going to draw out a lot of ire, it's going to draw out a lot of criticism, and it's going to draw out the poison. And folks, it is far more endemic than most people want to realize, regardless of whether you're woke or anti-woke or don't know what woke is, right? You look at Hasan Piker, I doubt there's a genuine brain in his body. Now, I was going to say bone, but I'm like, does that guy have any bones? The point is, right, the consequences of this social media addiction crisis are that we are at a point that prominent creators can abuse animals and not only get away with it, but actually continue operating and gaining support, right? I know Hasan crashed out on his loyal viewership, as if he has any of that. But the man's feeling the pressure because this controversy won't go away, because for all of what modern technology has done to muddle people's brains, we still have fucking red lines. And if you cross the red lines that everyone knows about, right? You cross that red line, you are doomed. And the guy continues to this day to abuse his animal. You want the pressure to subside, take the collar off, let your dog just be a dog, okay? Not even Sink Uyghur, not even Sink Uyghur, who advocated for fucking horses, got this level of pushback because he knew when to read the room and realize not many people endorse bestiality in the United States. Just like most people in the US don't endorse torturing dogs. I mean, you can do it in your own time privately, right? There are plenty of people don't, obviously for moral reasons, but there are plenty of people who do sick shit behind the scenes without anyone knowing, okay? Just read the room enough to realize that abusing your dog by using a shock collar every time it moves is a bit of a problem.
How many hours do you think Shank has logged on Umamasume?
Oh my goodness.
He wouldn't have enough because they look too human for him.
It's like, no, Jose, in all seriousness, when we think about eating a horse, we think of Roger eating a horse. But when we think of Sink Uyghur eating a horse, he is like under the horse, eating the
getting
rod.
it in a mood.
Boy,
Exactly.
boy.
Yeah.
Tim Walz has videotapes of that, I'm sure.
But we need to point
The
this
fact
out.
that there are videotapes of that is worrying enough in general, but yeah.
We need to point out the fact, and it is a fact, an egregious fact, that one of the main reasons why the discourse among what we do is so poisonous is because of people like Hasan Piker, who has never broken an unwritten rule of content creation in his life, but has broken every moral bone in his body. And that's why he hasn't been wiped out. That's why he still has support. And that's why the institution who backs him up are defending him to the hilt, as well as some of his prominent colleagues are defending him to the hilt.
This is the word, like, this is the showcasing of how morally absent a person can be. And he does have a loyal fan base, and he had a lot more loyal people before Kaya's incident. But when you have loyal followers, and in his case, he's talking against Israel, he's pro-Palestine, stuff like that. In this case, you do have a room to wiggle with a good deeds versus bad deeds, and he does have some platform to stand on with what he said against that. You do have bad things that have happened from both sides historically and currently and stuff like that. So he does have a wiggle. When you do that to a dog, there isn't a violent extremist dog state out there. You're basically hurting an innocent animal that is with you for the rest of its life, loyal, loving, no matter what you do to it, almost infinitely. So you don't have that platform that you have people who feel like you for the things that you normally talk about with human groups, because there's only one dog group, and that's good boys, man's best friend, stuff like that. And when you go against that, then yeah, you're pretty much on a very, very fast going. There it is, Jace. There it is. Amazing. Good boy.
Courtesy of Yeet, folks. Hasan crashes out and black pills on everything. Quote, I'm going to quote this because I don't want to listen to this cunt. Quote, I hate the left. I hate liberalism. My life. I hate streaming. Socialism. You did it. I am black pilled. Nothing will ever get better. It's because of you I shock my dog.
Okay.
Wait until he says that.
Let me see how small a violin I can find.
Wait until he blames his audience for abusing his animal.
Here's the thing about this. Poor baby Hasan. Hasan could easily fix his life by this, as you said, he could benefit from a social media ban. And I'll tell you why. Because he is a product of the algorithm, the consumption, the believing that his shit doesn't stink. Hasan does not have a bad life. In fact, the capitalist society, not the socialist society, the capitalist society you're living in has allowed you to become a millionaire through, exploiting a lot of people who are unwell and kind of stupid. All right. You mistreated your dog. It's very simple, Hasan. You don't have to be black pilled. What you have to do is turn your computer off, go outside, take Kaya for a walk without a shot collar, just a normal collar, take her out on a walk, take her to a park, play frisbee with her, stop and smell the roses, realize you got the, your multiple cars, your infinity pool, your mini mansion. Realize life ain't that effing bad. But this guy is such a crybaby, man. This guy is such a pathetic sack, because this isn't the first time he's gone into this pity me mode, because a couple of years ago, he lost a few thousand viewers because we weren't in a political cycle, and he was sad about that. Oh, but you still got like 10, 20,000 people watching you. What's the matter? Well, it's not enough.
Well, I'll tell you
you don't have consequences. That's what happens when you grow up without having real life consequences. What we were talking about. You need to grow up with consequences for your actions from an early stage. I grew up in an environment that was, if for the lack of a better term, way more adult than I was supposed to be in. And if I were to tell someone like a behavioral someone or stuff like that, they would gawk at me. How did you survive? Because I was raised to have consequences. I knew what consequences are from an early age. I knew what had to be done. I knew that if I am a idiot, I would get idiot prices. That's what's happening.
You know what it's also? It's character development, because we've had problems in our lives that we've overcome. And Hasan has never had a real problem in his life. It's like, get some real problems, all right? You've created this problem. You opted to create this problem by mistreating your dog. And now those chickens have come home to roost. And you haven't corrected it. Instead, you've retreated in your show. Oh, poor me. Poor me.
Well, guys, before I make my point about this, it's so ironic, folks, because the overarching theme of this episode is condemning the poisonous nature of content creation and live streaming. I wasn't expecting many people to actually watch today's episode, because usually shitting on the profession you're in isn't a good idea, okay? But apparently it's wrong. Thank you to Roadkill for the nearly $20 donation, in which you say, I can't eat cats and dogs, I guess I'll help feed them. Frowny Face. Well, we appreciate you.
Thank you very much,
Roadkill,
Roadkill.
for your
Thank you.
donation.
This would I've explained this on my Sunday stream. Something like this is an amount in Bulgaria will get me at least 10 pounds of food.
Oh, yeah.
Like of dry cat or dog food, and you can, if you don't know, in terms of grams, a normal cat eats between 60 and 80 grams of cat food per day. So that's gonna be helping a lot. And all of this goes to two things: channel growth, because I do want to do this fucking thing full time until I boot it off in a miserable way, and I want to help homeless animals because there's a lot. And I don't want people like Hasan to adopt them or have them. That's a new goal, but it is a valid goal because a lot of times, sadly, homeless animals end up in incredibly worse situations with incredibly abusive people, and sometimes even people who actually kind of take care of different animals that need stray animals to survive. And you can do with that information whatever you like.
Well, I'll tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, in regards to Hasan, the point Jose was making, I think Hasan would be morally better off in a socialist country, right? Born and bred. No, seriously, born and bred in a socialist country, right? I know our side loves to shit on the left, and I don't blame them because most of them are monsters, okay? But think of it this way. In a socialist state, we wouldn't have to deal with a social media addiction crisis. In a socialist state, we wouldn't have to deal with obesity. In a socialist state, we wouldn't have to deal with more and more radicalized people. In a socialist state, we'd have proper borders, right? If you're certainly not allowed to leave, I don't think you're allowed to come in. So if you think about that, folks, right? What's the Soviet solution to the refugee crisis? They come to the border, shoot them, and you because Helzo can know this because his parents grew up in a socialist state commanded by a communist state. Let's face it, and the mindset was, if you try to leave, you're going to die. So what are they going to do to people who want to come in illegally? Think about that, folks. I know we love to shit on socialism because, yes, it is a backwards ideology that does ruin a lot of people's lives. But I do honestly believe that someone like Hasan would have been a morally better person if he was born and bred in a socialist country. Thank you to Jeremiah Norris. Could you bring that up, Helzer? Thank you to Jeremiah Norris for a $2 donate. See, look, there's the greater irony, folks. I'm talking about why some parts of socialism are good, but then I'm like, thank you for your donation. So, folks, I'm not saying socialism's a good ideology, by the way. I'm simply saying for people like Hasan, it would be better for him morally, not economically.
The problem with that is the fact that just like how you have like every other lunatic leftist deranged person out there who have been spoon-fed pretty much their whole entire life about socialism being good and whatnot, they don't even know what actual socialism is. Like, because you got Hasan out there talking about how good all that stuff is, talking about how bad capitalism is bad, while he thrives on capitalism. That's the only way he has everything that he has is through capitalism. And yet he's trying to make it seem like, oh, socialism is this great thing. Well, you don't even know what in the world that even is.
Well, I'll tell you this, folks. Jeremiah does make a good point in his donation. We all have worse outcomes than Hasan Piker. And I'll tell you this right here, right now, folks. The reason why the Cold War was this battle for survival between the East and West, between capitalism and communism, because for the longest time, especially from in the 60s and 70s, right, the West was getting richer, but the East was far more stable, okay? So it was much more stabilized, organized society.
Disgusting, tangent kings of new age.